All right. Thanks, everyone, for your patience. We finished a little bit late in the other building, so we're all migrating back to the main session. I'd like to start off by thanking the sponsors of AUSIT National Conference 2025, starting with the platinum sponsors, Language Loop, Multicultural New South Wales, the Department of Home Affairs, TIS National. The gold sponsor, NAATI. Our silver sponsors, Australian Signals Directorate and Think HQ. Our bronze sponsor, Macquarie University, all graduates, Connecting Now and University of New South Wales. Our accessibility sponsors, Translations for Auslan, Congress Australia for videography, and On-Call Caption Connect for the closed captioning. I'd also like to thank 2M Language Services for providing the gifts for the keynote speakers, as well as our conference friend, Fenton Green, who provides professional insurance to AUSIT members. Now, of course, this conference would not have been possible without the tireless efforts of the ACT branch. So a big thank you to Dave Deck, starting off as the chair of the ACT branch. And I'd also like to acknowledge the many volunteers from ACT branch who have been working behind the scenes. Elena Udina, Vesna Tivtet Chanin, Felicity Liu, Ling Jin, Rachel Wu, Victor Xu, Willie Sananakye, Jesse Huang, Gizem Alkas, George Shaw, as well as volunteers Hala Abulasasan, Henry Chen, Daniela Pericini, Carla Gizzotti, Amy Wen, Lanfeng Davis, and Nuria Diaz. A round of applause for our fantastic volunteers. I'd also like to thank the assistance of Office Logistics. Donna and Michelle, I think you'll agree, has done a fantastic job supporting AUSIT behind the scenes. So a round of applause for OL for their assistance. I'd also like to take the opportunity to acknowledge the recipients of the awards last night, the AUSIT Excellence Awards. So if you'll join me in congratulating, firstly, the AUSIT Fellowship Award, which was awarded to Joe Van Dalen. AUSIT Life member, Terry Cheshire. AUSIT Life member, David Connor. Excellence Award, Outstanding Contribution in Interpreting, Kira Dangerfield. Excellence Award, Outstanding Contribution in Languages of Limited Diffusion, Olena Radievska. And Excellence Award, Outstanding Contribution to Capacity Building in the T&I field, Lin Geng. Very big congratulations to all the recipients of the AUSIT Excellence Awards. Lastly, I'd like to thank my colleagues in the National Council for their assistance this whole year, including 2 members who have stood down this year. That is VP PD Issa Her and VP Comms Rosario Lozaro Iago, who are stepping down. I'd like to acknowledge their hard work this year. Thank you very much. I can confirm very happily that we found 2 very capable replacements for Rosario and Issa, and they are Michael Broughton and Michaela Chiru, who've been duly elected in their places. Well done to both Michael and Nicola. We're very much looking forward to working with you in the new council, which we are meeting tomorrow morning to review our upcoming priorities for the next year. Can I also just take the moment to acknowledge that the positions of National Secretary and National Treasurer will unfortunately be vacant by the time of next year's AGM, as the 6-year tenure of both Miranda Lai and Han Shu will be coming to an end. So I'd like to take the opportunity to call out to all AUSIT members, if any of you are interested in the positions of National Secretary and National Treasurer, we'd love to hear from you. And of course, I'm sure Han and Miranda will be happy to explain what those responsibilities are if you would like to volunteer at the next AGM. Now, in closing this year's conference, I've been reflecting on what makes this flagship event so special. I recall one time last year when I was attending the conference in RMIT University in Melbourne. I was sat next to one of my students who I teach at the University of Queensland, and she was attending an AUSIT conference for the very first time. After we listened to one of the keynote speakers and the robust Q&A that followed, I was struck by the reaction that my student had. She was a little bit shocked because not everyone agreed with what the keynote speaker was proposing. In fact, they were very vocal about their critiques. And the presenter was not only expected to defend their ideas, but they welcomed that constructive feedback in that moment. And my student had never seen anything like it in any of the other conferences that she had attended. I bring this up because I think this is what makes an AUSIT conference unique and why it is the highlight on the calendar for many translators and interpreters across the country. There is no other event where we can bring together the full spectrum of internal and external stakeholders of what is a very diverse sector that we work in. So we have translators and interpreters, of course, offering their expertise across highly specialized and bespoke topics that are relevant to our professional practice. This includes practitioners. Many are AUSIT members. Some are not AUSIT members. Some are union members. Some are members of sister organizations like ASLITA, NZSTI, and many others. Then, of course, we have academics, many of whom are practitioners also, disseminating the latest breakthroughs in the T&I field. And that tells us what the best practices are and what the ethical standard is. We also invite practitioners in other professions that work alongside us: law, justice, medicine, allied health, just to name a few, so that we can understand their unique perspectives that they bring to our work. We also engage with government, of course, across all of Australia's states and territories and the Commonwealth. We know how important it is to maintain that dialogue because we know they are the dominant purchasers of services in the community translation and interpreting space. We also leave a space for private businesses, whether it be sole traders, like many of us here, but also some of the major language service providers. Because we want to help our members form those long-term relationships, and because we know our members are some of the finest translators and interpreters in the country. Lastly, we welcome the participation of First Nations, multicultural, deaf, and hard of hearing community organisations into this space so we can seek feedback on the very users of the T&I services that we deliver. So this is the kind of engagement that AUSIT has made possible at our conferences, year in, year out. And it is a genuine kind of engagement. It invites all stakeholders, internal and external, to the table, and crucially respects what each one has to say. Now, fake engagement would be setting up events like an echo chamber, shutting down debate, and enforcing harmony at all times. That's not what we do. It is here that I'm reminded of the wise words of Confucius. 君子和而不同，小人同而不和, which I roughly translate as a leader with integrity is approachable and respectful to all, but does not manipulate through flattery. By contrast, a leader who lacks character may use praise strategically, but their friendliness is a transaction. We can learn a lot from Confucius here. In engaging with stakeholders, AUSIT can seek harmony, yes, but not uniformity. We can agree on a destination, but maybe disagree on the path to get there. And we can make better the profession. We can work together on common ground while acknowledging the different roles each stakeholder must play to make it happen. So with those thoughts, I'll leave it there to close the conference. I thank you all for your participation. Before I officially close the conference, I would like to announce that the conference next year will be held in beautiful Adelaide. I'm not sure is Joe in the audience? Joe is here, fantastic. Joe, I've got the ceremonial bell to give to you as is tradition. It's a 2-year-old tradition. Thank you so much, Joe. Okay. Thank you. See you in Adelaide next year. And I hereby declare the closing of AUSIT Conference 2025. Thank you all.